bullied, hurt, living with no hope, unemployment. This might be a reality, but do not be discouraged, because in times of adversity and turmoil, the greatest leaders are made. In a world where greatness is revered and legends are born, there is a timeless truth that echoes through the ages. Ladies and gentlemen, prepare to witness the power of true leadership. Leaders are made, not born. This striking topic will be eye-opening and will impact not only the youth, but every generation. This is a call to all youths to fasten your seatbelts and ride with the Woman to Woman team in this month of June. Definitely not to miss. Coming up on today's show.
It's so funny. I used to call myself very classy, so I'm not gonna respect. I was the classy.
You were a classy naughty girl.
Classy naughty girl. True. I'm very not that young anymore, but I'm still very young.
We're not gonna ask how old are you. That's so wrong for a woman. No.
Yes.
But you can see she's very young.
Yeah. I'm still a youth, so it's fine. And even when she would travel, that was the best. When she would travel, to Rustenburg, go home, I knew that I'm free to do whatever. I don't have to lie about my whereabouts.
Eager to know more? Wow, let's stay tuned.
We are women. We are brave, strong, capable, unique. We are Women to Women.
Good afternoon, South Africa. It's another Woman to Woman program to you. And we, during this month of June, are dedicating ourselves and inviting you to join us to celebrate the youth, not only in South Africa, but throughout the world. We know the youth of today is the future of tomorrow. So if we are aware and we put all our efforts to invest in having a very good quality of youth in all fields, in all areas of life, we are surely guaranteeing a wonderful future, not only for South Africa, our loved Mzansi, but throughout the world. And today we are going to tackle something that it is less spoken out there. There is a saying that goes that leaders are made and not born. And we know for a fact this is true. But are we doing enough in our country to secure that our youth of today will really be the leaders of tomorrow? When we think about the challenges that youth are facing in our countries today, we know the stats prove that levels of unemployment, not being able even to secure places in varsity. So I wonder if all these stats and facts and challenges that youth are facing in general in our society, if they can't find a job, how they are going to become leaders. So I want you to watch this promo that is going to talk a little bit about the reality that our youth is facing in South Africa today.
It has been known that youths are the future of our country and generation. But how can that be so if many youth, especially in South Africa, have challenges and the stats are increasing on the problems that youth face every year? Let's dive deeper. Unemployment. According to Stats SA, the most recent data provided for the first quarter of 2023 shows that the problem of youth unemployment is still present and exposes worrying developments in the labor market. Nearly 250,000 young people were jobless during the first 3 months of 2023. which indicated a dramatic decline in employment chances. The total number of young people without jobs during this time period was 4.9 million, a significant increase of 1.1% from the previous quarter. The official unemployment rate increased during this time to 32.9%. Student. More than half, or 51% of youth aged 18 to 24 claimed that they did not have the financial means to pay for their tuition. Furthermore, 18% of those aged 18 to 24 who were not attending educational institutions indicated that their poor academic performance prevented them from participating. This is according to the Higher Education and Skills in South Africa report released by Stats South Africa. Approval rates. Every year, after the matric results are announced and higher education officials have addressed concerns about the veracity of the pass rate, the focus quickly shifts to handling the incoming university applications. APS scores, known as admission point scores, are regarded as high in some post-secondary education, leaving it hard for young people with no education due to competition and levels of achievement. Mental health. According to recent studies, South Africans are likely to be more compared to other countries in the world that experience anxiety and depression. Succeeding in education, the need for work skills, training, and employment opportunities was cited as causing the most anxiety among 57% of respondents. South African teens are the most at-risk group when it comes to suicide, according to South African Depression and Anxiety Group. A quarter of young South Africans experience depression and anxiety, and up to 20% of high school students have tried to take their own lives. Abuse on physical or emotional level, neglect, pressure from society, unemployment, and poverty are leading causes of mental issues in South African youths. Now, onto the show.
At the same time that we celebrate the youth, and in South Africa we're very privileged to have a holiday to bring awareness to the value of youth, it's so sad to be confronted by so many challenges that they are facing today. And it's a fact, if I can't allow the youth to have education, to have job opportunities, to express themselves in politics, in economics, and to serve in communities, what kind of leadership are we going to have tomorrow? So it's part of our job to invest our own for that leadership. So that we can discuss more about that, today we bring Irene, and she is in our hot seat today. Irene is a volunteer in the church. She is an active member of YPG, and she has a great experience to share with us about becoming a leader, not necessarily being born one, right? Greet then our audience.
Hi, everyone. I'm really excited to be here. It's such a pleasure.
It's good to have you here as well. Irene, before we speak about what you do today, I think we need to start a bit back. Tell us a little bit about your past, your childhood, how you grew up. Who was Irene?
So the person, I always speak about myself as the third person, because the person I am today is completely different from the person I was. So I grew up in the church, firstly. Sunday school with my mom. Every Sunday we were here. And I always say I grew up in a bubble, very protected from the world outside. So when I got to the age of grade 8, grade 9, I was in contact with friends that were not from church, friends that were also not from my school, because I went to a good school which had family values. So we would pray before we had assembly. So it was a very good structured school. So school wasn't really where I got exposed to something else. So when I got to grade 8 and grade 9 and I met these friends, in passing in town, they looked cool. They looked cool. And in primary school, I was always bullied. So yes, my mom raised me well. My family structure was well. But I was bullied in primary school. So I was bullied for the way I looked. I was bullied for my eyes being too big. I was bullied for my body being, because I was very chubby when I was younger. So I was always bullied for I'm too big. I was bullied about my teeth. I had an overbite. I was bullied about the way I walked, because I had an operation on my one leg. So I walk a kiss, and they call it kiss. So they'd always used to mock me in primary school that you walk kiss. So, and as well, I was bullied about my color of my skin because I went to an Afrikaans school. So it was very tough environment from primary school, throughout primary, even in kindergarten. I was always exposed to it. I remember I only had one friend throughout my primary school. So that brought in me, obviously, a lot of low self-esteem. You always comparing yourself to other kids. And even at home, my mom wasn't well off. I don't come off from a well-off family. And my dad also wasn't present. So at school, same thing, kids are there with their fathers, they're there with their mother and father. I'm just there with my mother. It made me feel that I'm missing something. I'm always short of something. And my mom was also very strict. So she wasn't a friend to me. She was more of, if I do wrong, I know I'm going to get it. So I was always scared of her. As much as she loved me so much and I loved her, there was always that fear. So if I'm being bullied, I never told her that I'm being bullied. I never told her how I felt, what kids are doing to me. I just kept it to myself. I would never ask her for anything. I was not that child that would tell my mom, buy me this, buy me this. I just keep quiet. I'd support her in anything that she was doing. I was never brave enough to confront her and say, can I please have this? So when I got to high school and I got introduced to these friends, they complimented me, which was the first compliment I ever received from anyone. And I was like, okay, that's a first. And it felt good, someone saying, you're beautiful. I'm like, really, me? And then it started off like, okay, but what would they compliment? They'd compliment my body. So I'm like, okay, so my body is attractive. So I will use that and show that, because that's my one advantage. It's the only thing no one has ever bullied me about, and it's the only thing these people are complimenting me about. So then my behavior changed. The way I used to dress became more explicit. The way I used to walk also changed, because now I'm trying to show you this body that you are liking. And that led me to go away from my roots in terms of how I was raised and stuff. And it led me to want to feed that lifestyle. So it started very innocent. It was just a you beautiful. And also for me, I was just innocently trying to fill that void, feel that love, acceptance. Finally, someone out there is accepting me. But these friends, the next week they're drinking. I never drank. I didn't even know what beer looked like. Only when I got to grade 9, and people are like, what? How have you never tasted alcohol? How do you not know what it is? It's good. And I'd be so confused. I'm like, but it's bitter. At the same time, but I'm supposed to like it. And they're drinking it with so much excitement. So as much as I was so uncomfortable doing it, I learned to be comfortable. So the first sip was sour, but then you force yourself. I never enjoyed it. I just forced myself because I knew I would not be able to fully enjoy myself if I was not doing it. So to avoid losing them as well, I was scared that these only friends that are so close to me, if I don't do this, I'm going to lose them. So I would drink, I would smoke. We came to a phase of smoking. I would smoke.
How old were you by then?
So I started experimenting when I was 16, 15, 16, even from 14. But from 14 years, I was baby step. I was still holding back. I was still scared to fully experiment.
And you were brought up in the church and with good family values at school. Did your mom realize something was odd?
She only realized when I became very explicit about it. But in 14 years old, she didn't realize that my child is going through a change. She didn't pick it up because I was still looking the same. I would just behave differently when I'm away from her or when I'm away from my friends at school. Even the one
Like
friend.
two personas. The good girl at home and then the wild one outside.
Yes, and that was not even the wild part. I was still innocently just still protecting myself, doing but not going all the way. But with time, I saw that as you grow older, it becomes more explicit. So now everybody's dating. And you also have to say something when you're together as friends, and you have to
Sort
say
of a competition. You need to do the same that others are doing and to do more.
and to do more because you want to be popular. The popular girls were the ones that were doing more. And when I was in grade 10, I remember I told myself that I'm so tired of being bullied. Like, I've had enough and I will not be bullied anymore. This year I'm becoming popular. Like, that's how I went into grade 10. That we're changing things around. I'm going to be the it girl. And I went to do everything. Like, anything you would bring to me, I would do. I wouldn't hold back. The guilt was gone. The uncomfortable...
The fear
was gone. So I was free to go all out. So I would go clubbing. This was grade 10. You don't even have an ID, but you get in. Because the guys that you're with, they're older. They get you in. They know the club owner or whatever. So you go together. It's a convoy. And, you know, the club lifestyle, it's you meet a person, you go home with them. You don't even know if it's safe. You don't even know if it's healthy.
You don't even know who is that person.
You don't even know who is this person. So I was just going with that flow. And I remember I used to catch the bus. So in the bus, you have kids from other schools. And these schools were wild. Like, my school was not. So now I'm introduced to other people of my age, but with way more experience than me. And they're the one, that's where it all started, where I now started going to clubs. I never bunked school, but on weekends I'd tell my mom, I'm going to see my friend. The one friend I had, I'd always use her because my mom knew that they only have sleepovers and eat popcorn and do nothing else. So she was comfortable. So I'd always say, I'm going to so-and-so's house. She's like, okay.
And she never bothered to check. She believed in you.
She believed in me. She'd never call the parents and check, is my daughter there? And I'd be there the whole weekend. You know, from Friday, I come back Monday or come back Sunday so I can go to school on Monday. So that lifestyle, always when I was doing it, I remember occasionally, I'd have this voice of, what are you doing? And that brought so much anxiety in me that I chased it more. So to
at this stage, you were
disappear.
no longer coming to church or...
So I was still coming to church because, remember, I feared my mother. So
you will still come to church?
I was still in church. I never missed...
On Sunday morning?
A single Sunday I was here.
But then you would go back?
I would go back Friday. I was doing my things. Friday, Saturday, just be sober enough to come to church. That's it.
When
Don't
you say you were
smell.
doing your things, would you tell me which things? Or would you tell them which things?
So I would be drinking. We would go out to a friend's house and we would just drink. The entire weekend, you would drink. If you had your boyfriend there with you, you'd sleep with your boyfriend the entire weekend. You guys would just enjoy life.
Did you experiment drugs?
I never experimented with drugs. I always
cigarette.
Smoke. I used to smoke weed, and I liked weed actually.
Oh, for me, weed is already classified as drugs. I don't know about
actually,
you.
it is a drug. It is a drug, yeah. So,
but lately, it's not in South Africa because you were allowed to.
It's normalized, and that's why even at the first thing in your top of your head, you're like, weed is not a drug. It's a herb, so they say.
Yeah.
So I used to, I enjoyed that because it wasn't bitter, and it just made me feel woozy, and I could still be myself and have self-control to a certain extent. So those are the things that I would do. I would lose myself because I wasn't happy with myself. That's
And
how I was
clubbing?
doing it. Clubbing, sleeping around, but I would always sleeping around with my boyfriend, but not necessarily with different guys.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I was so it's so funny. I used to call myself very classy, so I'm just gonna be with one guy, and I respect. I was the classy.
You were a classy naughty girl.
Classy naughty girl. I told myself that, but there's no such. But at the time, I was.
Yeah,
I
you
was
convinced
labeled
yourself
that.
you were still doing
yeah,
good.
I'm fine. I'm not as bad as my friends. And even amongst my friends, I'd be like, this one, she's the boring one. Like, I'd still be there, but they knew that there are certain things that I would never do. I still had my limits. I'd always draw back and be like, no, it's fine. You guys go. So I because of the fear, and it's because of the upbringing that I had, it never left me as much as I was trying to. But when you know, you know. So time and again, this voice would come. What are you doing? Why are you here? You don't belong here. So that frustrated me because I'm like, how, God, can't you leave me in peace to enjoy my enjoyment? That's how I felt.
You're punishing me.
You punishing me. The guilty conscience. People are enjoying. It looks, and the outside, it looks like people are enjoying without the guilt.
I needed to understand how you would reconcile these two personas. Friday night, all out, drinking and partying, and your boyfriend and weed. Then throughout the night on Saturday, then you get sober and you give a break and you come to church. Then you go back. What they would tell about you?
So it for me, it's even crazy how the switch was so easy to just switch off. Like when I was in church, I would just be here for the sake of, I don't want my mother to be on my case. I'm not here for me. So I'm physically here, but I'm just here
Just
so
to
she
keep up
doesn't
with
nag
appearance.
me. Yes. And
So that she doesn't get skeptical.
that's it. But it was just my mother. If it wasn't for her being in the church, I wouldn't have come at all because I have to show up for no one. I wasn't scared of what the youth thinks about me. I already knew these ones, they know Irene is a double up. So I didn't even care whether they like it or they don't, whether they like. I was just there for the sake of my mom to say that I'm just here. And even when she would travel, like, that was the best. When she would travel, like, to Rustenburg, go home, I knew that I'm free to do whatever. Like, I don't have to lie about my whereabouts. Sunday, she says that you go. I'm like, yeah, what did they say? I just come up with something, like, but I didn't
Jesus
go.
loves you.
Yeah. I never went. I never came. But that's because she wasn't here to see that I didn't come.
So not even the preachings will help you. Like whenever the pastor is preaching, in the Universal Church, sin is, they knock on
We preach
that.
reality.
So exactly. So that wouldn't even bother you. Like, oh my God, the pastor is talking to me, or you are feeling guilty and like, okay, I'm going to change now.
It would happen in moments, not every Sunday. There would be that Sunday where you're like, okay, maybe, my lifestyle is not the one. But then you're like, but it's so nice. Like, it's that thing of, but I don't have that in me to give it up. I want to, but I don't have it in me to give it up. I hadn't yet had enough of it. So
You still
until
would
then,
be feeling guilty, but it was not strong enough to make you to stop with that behavior.
no, it wasn't a strong enough
Coming and
guilt.
going.
Yeah, I would suppress the guilt. So if I feel guilty, I'd go drink. If I feel, so I would always suppress that. I would fight it. It was a constant battle in me to just keep that voice silent if I can. If I can't, I would isolate myself and just want to be alone. Or I'd do the opposite, to want to be in a crowd. I needed people. That's why I needed to have someone with me, because they would, whenever I was with a boyfriend, that voice wouldn't be there. But when he's not there, the voice comes back. So I always had that need to always, I was depending on someone. I wasn't happy. I was miserable, but I had to cover it up. My friends didn't know that I was broken. They didn't know. They thought I'm this classy, well-planned, well-organized person that is just enjoying her life. But
And probably you would not know that among them, they were broken as well.
very much. So, and only later did I see.
How long
broken.
did you stay in this life?
It was such a long cycle because until the age of 22, 23,
6 years.
from 14 until 22,
Eight.
23, that's when I started to want to give it up. That's when I'm like, I've really had enough of the pretense. It's the pretense that gets you tired. The lifestyle, it's always temporary. Like, you'll enjoy it. You will. There's no you won't. But the side effects, there is a side effect. There's no way you can avoid the side effect. It's impossible. And so coming to church it saved me. As much as I was lost, but it saved me because the preachings, they were building up inside of me.
Because now you're giving years.
Now I'm giving ears. And I remember when I came back, like in the world, there was always heartbreak. Like a guy would always break my heart, like dismally so, not even.
So you didn't stay with one boyfriend throughout
No.
8 years. You were exclusive to one.
at a time.
Yes. That is so.
When the guy is faithful to you, then that's fine. But if he
Yes.
leaves you, you jump to another one.
Yes. No, after that breakup, you heal.
I
then
need
you
another
go-
love to heal.
Yeah, always. You need another love to recover from that. Yeah, that's how it was in my mind. I constantly had to have someone. I was never single for more than 6 months or 8 months.
When you would have someone, would that make you feel beautiful? Because you said you were bullied, you were told like big eyes, legs, this and that. So whenever you have a guy with you, would that make you like feel, oh, I'm beautiful, at least someone with me?
Like it added to my confidence. It added to my beauty. The world shaped me. The world gave me a beauty. So I was clinging on to that beautiness. I wasn't gonna let that go. Like I fit in. The world is accepting me the way I am. They're not judging me anymore. Because when you get to varsity, the bullying dies out. People don't bully each other in varsity anymore. So in varsity, everyone is minding their own business.
And you went up to varsity.
I went up to varsity. I went up to corporate. In corporate, it became worse because now you had money to fund your outgoings. And it became so bad that today they label me back then slay queen. We didn't have a slay queen then, but if I look back, I know I was that one because I used to invest in weaves and nails and like everything. I used to invest in so many materialistic things because that was also adding to my beauty.
That
So-
was to bring your appearance to another level.
Yeah, I lost the weight.
To be more, to call more attention, to be more noticeable.
Yeah. So I went to anything that, I remember there's a time I spent so much money on dermatology, on perfecting my skin. I went through fitness. I was perfecting my body. So everything that I was teased about when I could afford it, I fixed it. Immediately, I fixed it. I didn't even waste time.
Were you happy then?
I wasn't. I really, really wasn't. And the thing is, materialistic things will make you think you're happy, but you're not.
It's temporary.
It's temporary. And because you're so busy in that lifestyle, you don't notice that you're not fine. You think you are, But you just, like, I'm at work, after work, I'm with friends, after friends, I go home and sleep. There's no break for me to actually analyze myself and actually find out, are you okay? You know, are you looking after? I didn't have time for that. And I was avoiding it because I knew what I would find. So I'd constantly keep myself busy. I remember I was working and studying so I had no time. After school, I was in night classes to finish my degree. And after that, I go home, I sleep. And that was my life. In between, I'm with my boyfriend, or I'm always surrounded by something. I'm always doing something. I'm never
Busy.
silent. Busy.
It was all about like covering this void that you had, even though now you see that you could afford things. You tried to perfect certain things in your body. Of course, there are things we can't even perfect. Let's say your eyes, they were teasing you with your eyes. You couldn't do anything with them. But though you were like able to do certain things, but still you were empty, the void was still there.
The void was there. I was beautiful according to how the society labels me, but I was now emptier inside. I was more void, more than when I couldn't afford, which is the irony. You think when I make it, because even in corporate, I had a very good job when I was still working in corporate. So I was successful according to society. For my age, I was very successful. You know, so people would compliment you like, wow, you're so young and you've done so much. And you have pride in that. Like, you know, see my achievements, see who I am, see what I have. And I remember I completely isolated my family because I was busy building myself. And I felt that they didn't add to what I'm building. So I isolated them completely. I disregarded their needs. I was just focusing on being successful, having my car, having a house. Like I was purely chasing.
So you were no longer
success.
staying with your mom, with your family?
I was still staying with my mom. But I could have moved out. I just didn't see the need to move out. But
Did she accept all that change? Because I guess by then she realized something was very wrong.
No, she didn't. From high school, I became a problem to my mom. So when it became very explicit that I am disappearing for long weekends, I smell like alcohol, my clothes are dirty like I was rolling in the mud the whole weekend, because you'd go out with one pair of outfit and you gone for 3 days.
My gosh.
So you very unhygienic at that time. But you're chasing the fun, you know, you don't want to go home. And so in those things, you could notice that there's no friend, because I know how you are when you're with your friend, and I know how you come back. So she could find traces. She never found alcohol and cigarettes and stuff like that, because I never bring it home. So you're not going to find that proof that, you know, I'm doing bad. And she would always tell me that, you know, why are you not... You've changed, you know. She always tried to bring me back. She was like, don't think I don't see, you know. And for me, that used to irritate me, because I'm like, you're not even my friend. Like, I don't want to deal with you right now. And I'd just leave. I'd literally just leave. She'd call my aunt, my sisters, like a whole family intervention to try and talk to this child. And I would be so bored. I'd be just there on the phone listening to them, but I would just be like, I'm not interested. So, and you could see the pain in my mom's eyes, because she really did everything to rescue me back to the person she raised me to be. But she failed. There's nothing that she could have said to me that would change my mind. She couldn't get through to me.
What happened that all of a sudden you see reality and you invested in a change?
So when I came back to church, I remember I was from a big heartbreak. And I say big because it was out of a relationship where I am in corporate. So I'm old enough to move in with this person. We've made plans. We've, you know, decided on a life together. And when he disappointed me, that really broke my heart, to a point where I felt so lost. I'm like, I've invested so much in this person. I've given everything. I never held back. Like, if you want whatever you want, I would give it to you because I'm trying to keep you. I'm trying to please you. That's where I would find my happiness and making you happy and compensate. So when we broke up, or when I left him because he was cheating on me, the entire relationship, I was so confused and so lost and so disappointed. And I was like, and that's when it hit me that look back in your life and see your pain. Like, see how many heartbreaks you have allowed yourself to go through. No one put you in these things. You put yourself there. And besides the heartbreak, I remember there's a night I got so drunk I was taken advantage of by one of my close friends. And that also came to mind that, you are you're exposing yourself to so much pain that it was willingly. And that's when I stopped. I'm like, really, the world has nothing to offer me. And that's when it hit me that if you want to avoid the pain, just go back.
And then you returned, but you had to pick up from where you left. There were so many things you had to work on in yourself. How was that experience?
It was not easy, I will say. And I say not easy because I always used to kind of still want to hold on to certain parts of my lifestyle. So I wouldn't fully want to give. And that's why I say it's not easy. But it was actually easy. It's just that I was procrastinating the letting go. So, but it was tough to come back in terms of facing reality. But at the same time, I was so broken that I didn't really care. I was really, really broken to a point where I was like, this has to be my last resort. If this doesn't work, I have no idea what will work.
You just mentioned that you were very professionally successful. You were in corporate world. Did this heartbreaking in your relationship somehow affected your career or the career you were building, your work, or not? You could keep it very distinctive and separate.
I could keep it separate, my personal life from my work life, because I was chasing success. So I wouldn't allow other things to jeopardize that. But what I can say is that I was lost in what I was chasing. So I would always hop from one job to another because I was chasing that fast growth, climb the ladder, get there, So I remember in a year, I probably moved 3 times. Like different positions. I would feel like, okay, you guys are taking too long and I really want to achieve a certain level of success and you're going to delay it. So I'm going to go to another department that can help me get to a senior level much quicker.
What were you doing? What is your profession?
So I was in banking.
In banking.
Yes, I was in banking. And when I left, I was a financial advisor. So I was going into being a broker, an investment banker. That's where I wanted to go. Yeah.
So professionally, you were still growing, developing, but the other side of you in your personal life, you completely destroyed. And that made you to come back to God.
Yes. So that made me to come back to God because I was so tired of being sad, because even when I was in the world, I'd have moments of just crying. And because I never took the time to analyze myself, I could never know why, like what's wrong. I didn't know what's wrong. Just in the middle of the night, I'd just cry, like proper tears, not just like, it was pain. I was in deep, deep pain. And I knew that something is wrong. So that is what pushed me to say, you know what, you have to put an end to it's like self-harm. It's not physical, but you're doing these things to yourself. And you have to get to a point where you tell yourself enough, because it's not going to change. It's not the guy you are with. It's not the job you have. It's not what society says, but it's you. So if you are not okay, everything you do, you'll always feel that you are left behind. Someone is faster than you. someone is prettier than you. You'll always have comparison issues. You'll always not like, you'll never be satisfied with what you have. So that's when I knew that the first thing I have to get right is myself. And I remember when I came back to God, I never thought about my career. It's like my career just, because I was so focused on me being okay that I did not care, like whether I get fired with, like it's like it just that desire to grow just disappeared because I was so miserable. There's no purpose for me. There was literally no purpose for waking up, for eating, for getting dressed. I remember there's a day where I went just the whole day without eating. I was just so demotivated of life in general. And it's scary because I was so young. I was only 22. But I'm demotivated about life when I'm supposed to be thinking about life and investing. But I was so miserable that I was like, God has to be the only solution. Because I've tried it all. There's no club in Sandton, in Joburg that I don't know. Mm-hmm. There's nothing you can tell me that I did not try. So because of that, I know there's only God. And if He does not help me, I'm doomed. I am doomed.
And then you started all over again. If I'm going to ask you in those days, even though successful in your profession, would you be a leader?
I would not be a leader because I had low self-esteem. I looked like I had confidence, but I didn't. I had lack of direction. I myself was moving from one job to another. How can I carry anyone with me? Because when we're there, I'm going to be like, it's not working, let's go there. So I could never lead anyone. And I remember I was never a leader, even in my group of friends. I was never a leader. I would always be following, where are we going? What are we doing? Even my dress code, a friend of mine inspired my dress code. So I would look how she's dressing and I was every single, even in the smallest thing, I was failing to lead one thing in my life.
And maybe in your mind, because of the success, because of being able to do what you wanted, clubbing and partying and this and weed and that, you thought you were a leader. But reality came to the fact that actually you were a follower and not a leader.
100%. I really thought that I am an example, but I wasn't an example for anyone. Do not do what I did. Don't go.
And I think, as you mentioned, that you were a demotivated person, because you can't be a leader when you are demotivated, because you need to motivate other people. So you can't. And you are demoralized, you are weak. You know, how can you lead others? Because that moment, I'm not saying you wouldn't be a leader later, but I'm just saying that moment, because as a leader, you'll have to direct people you had no direction. Otherwise, you'll be an insecure, leader because of the things that were happening in your life.
If you would be given the chance, we can't do that. We have to learn from the past to build a future. But if we could extract those 8 years of your life and say that you would continue in the path that you were, building on firm soil, would you have progressed much faster in your life, in your professional life?
I would have progressed so much faster because I would have saved myself so much procrastination in many things, because there were opportunities that would come, but that voice of, but you can't, you're not smart enough. I always used to think I was so dumb. I don't know why, but I used to think that of myself. So, I would have these opportunities and I would also always withdraw, like, no, it's not for you. It's
but those
for
who are
person.
followers, they are convinced exactly of that.
And you see that you are feeling like this about yourself. You never even thought that you had potential of being a leader one day.
Wow. Because those who follow, they must be convinced that someone else has the brains, has the ability they don't. So better to subject and follow. And that is one of the things that is cutting short leadership in many youth, because they just follow and they don't realize they have potential. You had a change. You came to God, you surrendered your life. There was a complete change. Now you found yourself. What happened next?
So the first thing I remember, when I was coming back to God, I had already left I had already decided to leave corporate, because I understood that for the level of growth I want, corporate will hold me back. It's not that it won't give it to you, but you have potential to do more. So I had already that desire of, I want to be different. I want to grow. I want to be able to be a difference, to make a difference. So that pushed me into that decision of let go of your job. It was easy to let go. To resign, it's easy. The 6 months after that, it's very like, I surely should have resigned, because then you're still trying to find yourself. But when after coming back to God and Him giving me the inspiration to start my own business, even the business I have today, I got the idea in church. Work with big brands, very big brands. I do have people that are working with me. And
What is your business all about?
So my business, we deal with nutrition. So we mostly work with dietitianists. I'm helping people achieve their dietary goals. So people would go to the doctor, you have a specific diet, but you need help to the adaptment element is missing. That's where we come in, we support you. We give you access to a private chef if you need one. We do your meal plan for you. We also have the other side, which does catering for corporates when they have events. We do catering as well. And we have another section, so it's one company, but it has different departments where it has mobile chefs. So just like Uber, but you just have your chefs that you can call when you go on holiday or wherever and you need someone to help you prepare. So that's what.
And it's your company.
And it's my company.
And you build it from the
Nothing.
scratches, from nothing.
From absolutely nothing. It was just an idea. And I remember when I had the idea, I was so excited. And I know that the idea couldn't have been mine, because my entire life I could have never thought of something so brilliant by myself. And as well, it's not what I studied. I did banking and I did a BCom. What do I know about culinary and nutrition? And and even the people I work with, they're doctors, they're nutritionists. I'm just there with my accounting degree. I'm like, I could do your numbers for you.
But with that sense of leadership that now God placed in you, you are able even to go out of your comfort zone and start understanding of things that are not what you studied for. Because how do you hold a job that deals with nutrition and you don't understand anything of nutrition? You need to step out of your comfort zone and learn the trades of that job, isn't that?
Yeah, and what makes it so much easier is that because I know myself, it doesn't actually matter what happens to me, if you think about it. If you are so comfortable with who you are, whether you are sent to doctors or whether you are sent to work with people in mining, you're not really bothered, because the first thing, you don't really care what people think about you. I'm very, not that young anymore, but I'm still very young.
We're not going to ask how old are you. That's so wrong for a woman. No.
Yes.
But you can see she's very young.
Yeah. I'm still a youth, so it's fine. So, but you go to these board meetings and you sit with execs from big companies, and when they look at you, they really respect you. There's that fear, there's that humbleness, and really it can't be me. Because when in the world, it doesn't work like that. You are undermined of your age. In South Africa, your skin color, it's a big deal. It matters. You being a female or a male, like all these things that society posts as a challenge to you, it doesn't really apply. So you are able to go anywhere, and God gives you that ability to have wisdom. You have wisdom. You don't know how it's gonna go, but you just go, and when the time comes, you present. You have confidence. It's not magic, you still have to do your part, but there's so much confidence in what you do that other people, they listen. They're intrigued by you. They want to talk to you. They want you to have a conversation with them. And what I found that even in these big companies, God has allowed me to see how broken people are. Every exec with a suit and tie and, big Porsche out there, you'll see how broken they are. Behind that, you can see, and you're able to talk to them in a way that they're like, how did you know I'm not okay? And that is the
And I
big
think your testimony, if I would say, is the proof of the topic of today, that leaders are not born, they are made. Because many people, as you went through everything, many people would say, no, me, I wasn't born for this, like what you are doing today. Many young ladies, many young guys, they say, I wasn't born to be a leader. I wasn't born to be an entrepreneur. You get it? So they just give in. They're like, okay, I wasn't born for this, so I'm not going even to try. Because things, as we say, that leaders are not born, they are trained or they are made. Because even dogs are trained. So imagine us human beings, because I remember Miss Massa used to have a dog. I would be really surprised, because for me, I had never seen in my life a dog that would be obedient. You get it? Like you tell him, do not do this, and he doesn't do.
He was trained.
Yeah. So we are more intelligent than dogs, yet we have people that put themselves down and say, I wasn't born for that. But you can be trained. You can be something if you want to be, because you decided and you told yourself. I like the fact that you say that you didn't now care about your skin color. You don't care about what, you just tell yourself, I'm going to do this. You don't have even, qualifications for that, but you are doing well in that. And I think it's because of the Spirit of God as well.
Now, you are coming to the cross line of today's show. We proved to you that leaders are not born, they are trained. Just after the break, you're going to find out the training process to become a leader. We will be shortly back.
Fear, you won't take me down. Hate, you won't steal my crown. A king with no kingdom, a prince with no peace. You've had your day, yeah, but today that's not me. 'Cause when I walk through the fires of life, I won't be afraid, no, won't be afraid, no. God, you walk through the fires with me, so I won't be afraid, no, won't be afraid, no. I lift my arms up, I cast my cares up with faith like a child, oh, no matter what, no matter what. When I walk through the fires of life, I won't be afraid, no, won't be afraid, no. Keep on, yeah. Keep on, yeah. So now we soldier on. Let love be the first and the last word on our tongue. Fight the good fight, push back the darkness, light up the night, light it up, light it up. When I walk through the fires of life, now won't be afraid, no, won't be afraid, no. God, you walk through the fires with me, so I won't be afraid, no, won't be afraid, no. I cast my cares up with faith
Welcome back. Now we are going to go to reality. What is the training process? Irene, was it a bed of roses?
It was not a bed of roses. It was not. But the frustration brought me back. So whatever it is that is making you feel that you don't deserve, whatever the negativity basically was my fuel. And when I started, I remember it was not like, from zero to hero overnight. It's a new environment. It's something that I've never done before. So it is scary, but you just have to push through the fear. You have to put yourself out there. Even getting up earlier, it's something I had to practice, self-discipline. It's something that I had to give myself, just to tell myself that there is opportunity out there. In corporate, I was always limited to a certain seat, to a certain, you can only do this because it's your department. But as a leader, there's so much excitement. There's so much, like, the world is just yours. You can come up with anything you want. You can create anything. And what always drives me is being able to make a difference in other people's lives. Without this company, 7 people wouldn't be employed right now. And that is always okay, we got 7, we can do 14, we can do 24, there's the growth is unlimited. It's really unlimited. So even the society says your skin color is a problem. Like, you have so many barriers, so many things that says you will not make it. But in fact, it's not the case. In actual fact, in South Africa, it's good when you're female and you're going out there. That's the irony of it. Like, you will get support.
Your weakness becomes your strength.
Exactly. So it is not a bed of roses, but it's not impossible. And what I also with leadership, it is so you get to be the difference. And you get to empower other people as well. You are not just another number, because that's how I felt when I was in corporate, just a number, statistics. But it doesn't have to be like that. And even the negative, people will show you youth unemployment rate. You don't have to be part of that statistics. We're not saying it's not there. It is there.
Is.
And it is a fact, but it does. Why should you be that one out of 1 million or out of 1,000? You don't have to be. So it is all a matter of how you see yourself, how you see things. You can go as a young person. We have this saying in the YPG: because you're a youth, you are strong, and that is our potential. That is our strongest thing that we have. We are young. So you can go out there and make mistakes, but good mistakes. Like, if you go out there and you put yourself out there and it doesn't work out, you can try again tomorrow.
Did you face it?
I did. I mean, for us to be at this point in the business, I went through 3 different products that did not work. So my first product failed because it was too costly to actually maintain the idea that I had. It didn't work. But that did not take away because at first we were doing meals and then delivering them. And that was very costly on our side because we were still small. It only makes sense when you're scaling in numbers. That's where your profits will come in. But then I was like, it's fine. What else can we do still using the same model? Can I bring it to your home? Can I bring it? Then you start thinking outside the box. You start thinking, with this, your idea is not bad. You can still make it work. You just have to think. You just have to apply yourself. You just have to knock on doors. I remember there's a stage in the business where we did not have a space to cook. Like, I didn't have a proper commercial kitchen to cook and actually go for these big clients. And I remember it was probably on a Monday. I'm like, I'm just going to call, at the time I had called UJ because I heard that they have a kitchen and I just wanted to, like, can I just use your kitchen? Like, I don't know. Yeah, sure. But I thought it was going to go like that. They said, no, we can't. It's only for our students. But hey, we have someone else that actually funds kitchens. Why don't you give them a call and pitch your business to them? So if I hadn't gone out there, I wouldn't have known that there's places that fund kitchens. We went. They funded this kitchen for us. We were there. when we're there was another complication. No, there's too many entrepreneurs there. There's no space for you. Unfortunately, we have to send you to Alex. I'm like, who wants to go to Alex? Like, I want to be, in Rosebank, because that's where my clientele is. If you send me to Alex, you're sending people away. I'm like, okay, I'll go to Alex. So we got to Alex only to find that it's another incubation hub that specializes in youth development. And they actually linked me up with ambassadors. Like I met the ambassador of the UK. I met the president actually came for that incubation hub. I got to present to them. Many people, I wouldn't have met them if I despised where they were sending me. I did at first. I'm like, Alex, but I'm like, you know what? Let me just go. I will make it work. We were the only one. I didn't have to share that space with anyone. As I said, you get exposed to different opportunities.
Setbacks.
What
were you doing during the pandemic?
So in the pandemic, we launched...
The hard lockdown and the lockdown after.
Yes, the proper lockdown in 2019, 2020. And 2021, actually 2 years of lockdown, I decided to become an essential service. So I started to supply veggies to people at their homes. So you could order your vegetable box and I would come, because you can't go out, I would come to your house and drop off your vegetable box. It wasn't expensive. I would go to the market, buy and deliver. And financially, I didn't have the conditions. I remember I used to take a taxi to the market, carry those veggies by myself as a female, those heavy bananas and apples, to my house, and from my house find a way to get it to you. But even that didn't discourage me. It just pushed me to say, it will work. Just keep going. It will work.
We cannot mention names because of confidentiality, but give us a sense who you are catering for today.
So today we are catering for one of the PSL football clubs here locally in SA, and we're also catering for a very well-known hotel in Sandton. And most of our clients are actually execs from corporate. So I have a client who's one of the execs at Anglo America, one is in APSA. So it's people that are CEOs, co-CEOs, so it's big people.
That is the training process. And that makes the leader. If the setbacks, the challenges, the difficulties will put you down, you are not allowing yourself to be prepared to be a leader. That principle comes from God. Normally we say, God's pointing this. But today I'm going to say, God's training model for you and for me.
Let's see God's point in this.
Today I wanted to share with you, besides the great testimony of Irene, another example of a great leader from the Bible. And our reflection today goes first with the book of Joshua, chapter 1, verse 1. I particularly love the story of Joshua because Joshua was one of those leaders in the Bible that he was brought up to power, to authority, to lead the people, and he was consistent through his lifetime. It was not a matter of up and then down. And what made the difference in the life of Joshua? The process of training of God for all of us. So when we read Joshua 1, it's written like this. After the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord, it came to pass that the Lord spoke to Joshua, the son of Nun, Moses' assistant. So all the time from Joshua 1, when God called Joshua and said, Moses is dead. Now it is with you. You better make it. I'm going to train you to be this leader. God calls him Moses' assistant. But then by the end of the book of Joshua, already chapter 24, 49, we read, after these things, let me summarize these things. The conquest, to take the people, to conquer the promised land, the battles, to establish all the nations, to overcome, to conquer Jericho. Years and years of battles and conquest and leadership. It's summarized in 3 words or 2 words. After these things, Joshua, son of Nun, the servant of the Lord, died at the age of 110. So what was the training process of God? First of all, to be a leader, he needed first to be a servant. He learned the way of obedience, of humbleness, the way of reasoning. He saw Moses dealing with problems and complaints and setbacks. He saw Moses making wrong decisions. And he was serving Moses and learning in the process. And after years of service, after years of obedience, of humbleness, and dependence on God, he dies 110, still healthy. And now God calls him my servant. That is God's model of leadership for you, for me, for all of us. No one is born a leader. Proof of that, we see so many who inherit titles, inherit positions in the world, and they can't make it. They put at loss everything that the father has built, that the great-grandfather built, because leadership was not in him. He was not trained. But God has trained us through the ways of hardships, through the ways of challenges, of injustices, so that instead of thinking that we are someone, we convey to him and we depend on him. Irene, would you be able to do what you do, to be where you are, if you had not depended on God?
No, I wouldn't have the strength to carry on. Because there were many times where I felt like giving up, because it was tough.
And the first thing that God is going to make is to lead us, to lead our own lives through discipline, through humbleness, through obedience. Toko, what is the conclusion of the matter for today?
Now for the conclusion of the matter.
The conclusion of the matter today is that allow God to help you to become a good leader. And there is something that Miss Massa said that I took for myself is very important. You see that first Joshua was a servant of Moses. So be a good servant where you are. Maybe you are an assistant of someone in your job. If you do good there, you'll make a good leader. But if you are a bad assistant, you'll make a bad leader. So allow God to help you become a good leader, because without him, you can't do it. As she said, she couldn't do it with her own strength, but God allowed her. And maybe you say, I was not born to be a leader. Yes, nobody's born to be a leader, but you can be a leader through God.
Irene, would you pray for those who maybe they don't believe in themselves? But if they believe in God, they can make it. They can be leaders in their home, in their community, in church, at workplace, in varsity, wherever they go. If first they depend on God and they lead themselves first. Would you pray for them, please?
My Lord and my Father, thank you so much, my Lord, for this meeting and talk. Holy Spirit, I ask and I pray for each and every individual out there who feels or felt like I did, my Lord. Feeling small, feeling insignificant, not belonging in society, this young person who right now is under pressure
They are getting lost, my Father, lost into the world. But Holy Spirit, save them, my Father. Rescue them into your presence, because without you, we cannot lead anyone. Without leading ourselves into you, we cannot lead anything, not even the smallest of things. So Holy Spirit, guide us, my Father. Guide each and every one of them. Empower them according to your will, for the glory of your name. Amen.
Amen. So I think this is the best way to celebrate Youth Month, to give you a purpose, to give you a reason, to give not only to the youth, to the mature ones, because age with God is not detrimental. He wants to train you to lead where you are. Next week, we're going to come back with another topic to bless the youth, to bless the whole of South Africa and the world, because this is what we are here for, investing in you and at the same time investing in ourselves, isn't it? Irene, thank you very much for your testimony, for your account, and until next week, Friday. God bless you all. Bye-bye.
Previously on our Woman to Woman shows, we've been having the YPG takeover. Well, yep, we are having our YPG takeover this year.
Welcome back.
What is the true meaning behind M for M, made for more? Do the youth of this generation really believe that they are made for more? Well, let's discover together.
Yeah, they took over again every June 16.